So, this is going to be the Baltimore from Kano. Kano is a sub of the channel and wants to utilize his sub replay benefit, which is fine. And then Cthulhu used a Cover My Replay for another one. So there are two different games that he's shared with us. One is he called it crap, the other one he called it good. And we're going to start with the crap first. So this is the Baltimore, the Tier 8 American heavy cruiser line. Baltimore used to be way back in the day, and I remember when this happened, it was the Tier 9, but then they split the line and they put Baltimore at 8, and then they created this abomination that's called the Buffalo in its place at Tier 9. So Baltimore is a bit of an interesting pickle at Tier 8. There's some things that she gets that's good for it, and there's some things that are not. This is not the anniversary giveaway stream, Iron Meals. That's going to be a week from today. Today is to celebrate 4th place in Team League. So a week from today is the birthday stream where I'm giving away $250 of Wargaming ships. And that's not the same ones we're giving away today. So lots of things to give to you, which is exciting. Anyway, so Baltimore, it's got the radar, but it doesn't have the range that you really want it to have. It's 10 kilometer. And the reason it doesn't have the range you want it to have is because its concealment, well, right now yours is at 11, but with Concealment Expert and the module, it's basically exactly at its range. So you can't do the trick that I was talking about earlier with the Minotaur, where you get detected and then pop your radar. Okay, so that's a feels bad. Other things about it, the guns are fine. They're not terrible. They're 203s. They've got the American like super heavy AP or whatever. So as a gun platform, she's quite nice. You can spam both HE and AP out of it. And because it only has one turret in the rear, you get more in the habit of keeping your bow pointed towards the enemy and, backup reverse games, whereas Buffalo encourages you to show way too much side and then you get obliterated. Same thing with Seattle, ironically, also at Tier 9. Yeah. Let's get into your build then and take a look at how you've set this ship up. So you've gone for Big O's favorite special module, the Damage Control Party Modification 1 to extend DCP by 40%. You've got Damage Control Modification 1 to reduce your risk of catching fire or flood. You want Aiming Systems Mod 1 for dispersion of your main battery. Steering gears for your rudder shift. And then finally Concealment Modification 1. Fine. Couple things here that I want to comment on. First and foremost, on a ship that has radar, if you've got the coal, surveillance radar mod is always a welcome choice. If you're not willing to put the coal into something, that's fine. I only put coal into tech 3 ships that I play all the time, like say Schlieffen, or premium ships that I play all the time. Otherwise, I don't invest the coal on a ship. So you don't have to do this. Hey, Revenge. Thank you very much for hanging out, and appreciate you, dude. The other thing is, if you're not going to go for the coal, I would say engine room protection is far, far more important for you. You do not want to lose your engines. You just can't afford it. And in this cruiser, you get citadel in the middle of the ship, and a lot of times your engines go bye-bye. So I would absolutely, wholeheartedly recommend engine room protection here in slot 2. Now, slot 1 is an interesting thing. Sorry, do you have something to say real quick, or no?
No, I wanted to go over to the slot 1 as well.
Yeah. So, this module, the Damage Control Party module, is a good module. Now you gotta go? Go. See you, Big O. Thanks for hanging out. This particular module, Kano, is good, but not where you've put it. This module is good on American battleships because the action time for DCP for American battleships is 20 seconds by default. So 40% more gets you to,
28.
Thank you. 20. I was trying to do math in my mind quickly. And especially if you go with the well, I can't show you the battleship tree, but I could do it with the Palmer I was talking about with this one right here, Emergency Repair Expert, because that also increases the length of time that your repair party goes. So
it's quite like it's basically for only good on battleships, best on American, but
Yeah.
like the problem is on cruisers, your DCP lasts 5 seconds base.
Right.
40% sounds a lot, but 40% of 5 seconds is 2 seconds extra.
Yep.
And that doesn't do anything for you.
That's right. So personally, I wouldn't have this on here at all. It's far more important for you to run main armaments mod 1 and keep your main battery alive because you don't really have anything else that does damage. So this is the first change I would recommend for you, Kano, and then this is the second change I'd recommend for you on your build. Now, unfortunately, since this is a coal upgrade, you have to make that determination if you're willing to spend doubloons to dismount it, unless I think if you've got the current event pass, you get free dismounts.
No,
So
I don't. They removed that. But he said he's regrinding the line, so if you actually enjoy that line,
yeah,
when you regrind that line eventually again, you just don't put it on again because it gets demounted for free when you reset the line.
very good point. Thank you. Yes. Although, frankly, if you're regrinding lines, I mean, unless you really like this line, it's a fine line. You can do that. Moving on, the other thing I want to talk about is your choice in slot 4 of steering. Looking at your maneuverability, in general, you want your rudder shift to be under 10 seconds for cruisers, in general, okay? So steering gears brings your rudder shift time down to 6.25 seconds. That's way under 10. Propulsion gives you 7.82 seconds. So it saves you a few seconds in turning. Now this is 180 degrees. This is from middle to hard over one way. Okay? Most of the time you notice it most when you're hard over one way and want to go hard over the other, right? Okay? That's when you really notice the steering gears. In general, if you play the ship a lot, like I think you said something about parking behind islands and stuff, if you're playing the ship very stationary, propulsion is going to be your better choice because what matters far more than turning your rudder is getting moving quicker. Getting moving quicker allows you to dodge aircraft strikes, incoming long-range fire from battleships, regular torpedoes, submarines, all that kind of stuff, if you're talking about going from a stationary position to any sort of speed.
Yeah.
Okay?
When you're poking out of islands and moving back again, like, yeah, the prop mod is where it's at, that, not the rudder.
Right. Now, I will say, I always give people feedback based off their gameplay. We'll find out what your gameplay looks like. If you're the kind of person who just hits 4 Ws full speed and then never touches the throttle afterwards, then propulsion doesn't help you at all. That's exactly how I got owned in the crap match, not accelerating fast enough forward and backwards. Hey, perfect.
Well, there you go.
Right, we'll see it soon, guys. And then for upgrades, absolutely radar. Please do not take fighter. If you take fighter, your teammates will be very upset with you. So if you want to troll them, do fighter. And then hydroacoustic is definitely the better choice over defensive anti-airfire, sadly. Now, this is a standard captain that you have on here. It's a 12-pointer. I would not run Halsey or the Doze on a Tier 8 tech tree ship. I wouldn't do that. You do have radar. I'm saying that if you had fighter, that would troll your team, but you definitely have radar. Don't worry, you're safe. So you have a 12-pointer, standard captain. Like I said, you don't want to put Doe on. You don't want to put Halsey on. Ovechkin doesn't help you that much either. They help the ship, but it's a Tier 8 tech tree. You're going to put them on the Tier 10 most of the time, or maybe even the supers. The bigger issue here, it has to do with your build, frankly. There's a lot to unpack here in this build, okay? First and foremost, what matters most, like we were talking about up here with putting engine room, you do not want to lose engines and rudder, and when you do lose engines and rudder, you want to ensure that they actually you can still maneuver. So last stand is absolutely crucial on this ship and should be the first pick. Not incoming fire alert, not gun feeder, not grease the gears. Okay, last stand. This is a must. Moving into the second tier, I would absolutely recommend priority targets, or you could do consumables enhancements. I don't feel demolition is that useful for you. Your bread and butter is broadside battleships and cruisers with AP.
Yeah, demo export is not good on US and heavy cruisers.
Yeah, don't. If it's a light cruiser, I could see the argument. But a light cruiser, maybe even more so, you need priority target. So, it's the rudder part of it. Yeah, you don't lose the rudder that much, but I'll tell you what, you notice it when you do. And the bigger thing for Baltimore is losing your engines, because then you can't move at all. So you really need last stand. You really need last stand. Priority target, I like that far better. It kind of goes along with defensive skills here. You need to know when people are targeting you. If they are targeting you, that tells you need to find cover, whether that's an island or a smoke. Or maybe you need to stop shooting and go dark, like those kinds of things. Priority target is very useful for that. If you're shooting at a battleship, and that battleship is looking at you, and your priority target is 1, you're good. Focus on doing damage to that battleship and maneuvering to dodge his salvos. But if that priority target number is 3, now you gotta start thinking, who else is shooting me and from where? Okay? That's why priority target is so good. Every time you've lost engines or rudders, you die shortly after. Exactly, thought to it. So priority target, I would personally go for. If you are not a priority target of enjoyer and instead you want to go with incoming fire alert to tell you, hey, stuff's coming, then consumable enhancements is probably a good choice for you. I've been slotting captains through the regrind. Okay. Yeah, it might be a good idea to rehash this build, frankly. Or you can wait. If you're close to finishing the ship, maybe wait until you reset and then decide if you're going to do it again or if you're going to go someplace else. You can wait for the mythical free respecs that Wargaming usually does twice a year. Maybe one's coming. I honestly don't know. But I would respect this captain. All right, so the next thing, Adrenaline Rush. That's okay. It's okay. As you take damage, you put out more. This is a great skill at the 3rd point. I might recommend Survivability Expert first because you do not have a heal. So 8 times 450 is nice.
Yeah, the other alternative, like, it doesn't matter for the Baltimore much, but if you want to move this captain up to the next ship, then your first 3-point skill should probably be Superintendent.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But for the Baltimore specifically, it's, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it matters far, 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 far less.
Absolutely. So, Survivability Expert is worth it here. Now, Adrenaline Rush is not a bad skill. It's fine to take. It's just when you take this early, that delays you getting other skills that you absolutely want till later. And if you're regrinding and all that, it's a lot of work.
It's basically the choice here. Adrenaline Rush is the more offensive skill for the firepower.
Yes.
Survivability Expert is the more defensive skill that lets you live longer, which could also lead to you dealing more damage in the end.
Correct.
I think it's a personal choice which one you want to take first. Either one is fine.
Moving on, speaking of defensive versus offensive, let's get to your 4th point. I would recommend Concealment. You've gone top grade Gunner. Top grade, again, is more of an offensive build, and Concealment is generally more of a defensive build. The nice thing is top grade Gunner is still a good point, a skill point for the cruiser line. But the idea is if you get yourself down to, let's go back up here, 10 kilometer, and your radar is 10 kilometer duration or range, if you trap a destroyer in your radar and you want to give chase to it, then you automatically get top grade Gunner buff on it because something's within your base concealment range. So it jives really well together with a radar cruiser. That's why you see a lot of builds favoring it. But just like what I was talking about up here, I would go concealment first.
I would do both. Like, I would take my concealment at 10 and then at 14 the top grade Gunner, which obviously you can't do right now because you've already committed to extra point for 1-point skills, which you honestly shouldn't be doing.
Yep. So let's go back and let's talk about the build here, assuming you reset. All right, 1st point there, 2nd point there, or there. 3rd point, survivability or adrenaline. Okay. 4th point, absolutely 100% concealment. And then the 14th point, I agree with Grunty. I'd probably go top grade gunner. I am
You have like two options here. You can do 14 top grade gunner, 17 adrenaline rush, or you can do 13 adrenaline rush and then 17 top grade gunner.
bingo.
One of those. Whatever floats your boat.
Yep. Now, I am a fan. Everybody knows I'm a fan of radiolocation. It comes in handy for a radar cruiser because you kind of get an idea of where the closest enemy is, and especially if you have to chase it down, you can chase it down and know you're going in the right direction. However, if you find yourself more in a support role around other ships, generally speaking, top grade gunner is the better choice for more DPM. So again, it comes down to how you use it. If I were to build this myself, I would go radiolocation, but that's because I use it and I enjoy it that much. However, if you
could
don't,
have both, but you need a 21-point captain.
so if you go both, you love ships with full electronics. There you go. If you go both, then that's it.
That's 18 and you take adrenaline rush and you're done.
Correct. So this is not a bad choice. This is really not a bad choice. And I agree with Grunty. You have to really think about what matters most to you and go with that first. If I was choosing amongst these three, I would start with radiolocation, and then I would probably go with adrenaline rush simply because it takes so long for the final skill points either way, either the final 3 or the final 4. You don't like survivability expert, Cypher? Why? Doesn't have a heal. So why wouldn't you want magic free XP or free hit points, I mean? And if that's the case, where are you going to go beyond it? If it's got a heal, then Superintendent is the obvious choice. But it doesn't. So the only other choice besides survivability expert really is heavy AP shells? That's well, what are the better choices, Cypher? That's what we're talking about right here. I mean, you could go the consumables route. You could do a mix of that. Yeah, I just could do like this. Extra radar. A tier 8. You have 3 charges of radar.
Just for the radar? I don't know. It doesn't feel good.
It's hard. It's hard because the thing is, to use that radar the 4th time, you have to survive to the point where you use the radar the 4th time, and this helps you survive longer. I guess it comes down to personal preference, Cypher, but I would go survivability here.
I think it's actually just better to be smart with your 3 radar uses you have than having a forced charge that you might...
Yes. Yeah. Of course, if you spam radars a lot, then fine, okay. But... I'm with Grunty on this. I don't like it. Hey, Shelly, stream's going fine.
It's my general opinion, though. If you don't have a heal, I value Superintendent very, very low.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And if I do have a heal, that's
it's my first 3-point skill, basically.
It's an automatic. It's really an automatic. Now, you know, you'd love to have all of them. So what do you drop in the 4th role? I know I would drop top grade gunner and keep radiolocation. There's the argument for dropping radiolocation and taking top grade gunner so that you can then do something like
you have to drop one of them. But the whole point here was like the exercise of having both. And
right. It's one of the things that's nice and also terrible about the 21-point limit is you have to choose. Right, Electric? Yeah. Seriously.
24. I would have a couple of captains where I would really like just one extra skill point.
Mm-hmm.
Just having 22.
There are a number of times. All right. Moving on to signals.
Other ships I could fit in like 30, no problem.
What are you doing with smoke flag? The ship doesn't have a smoke. It's not a sub. It will dive once if you die, but no, get that off there.
That's just throwing credits down the drain.
Yeah. Does it extend radar time?
No, it does not.
This one extends hydro. So, yeah. You didn't realize. Should be none for the credits. Yeah, that's what I figured. That's okay. That's fine. All right, let's get to the battle then. We've been gabbing enough about the build, but hopefully that discussion kind of helped you a bit, Kano. All right, so let's get into this one. You're welcome. You're most welcome. Hey, look, you're bottom tier. Congratulations.
Yay.
You're also on a map that's really tough to play for your ship because there's a lot of open water where your concealment really matters a lot, or lack of. You have two choices. You've chosen south, so you can play along this island here. No wonder this is the crap game, right? So you can play along this island here. It's very risky because anything that's over here that's got hydro will detect you. Anything over here that's got radar or a plane will detect you at this island. So this is a very aggressive early position and a very dangerous one because anything over here might be able to shoot you, or south might be able to shoot you as well. The other option...
yeah, okay. Do that first.
The other option is for you to go up to the north and play around these islands. Delta 6 here can work.
I would honestly do neither of that here. So first of all, the middle position where you're going for is great if you're division with a destroyer. You know you have a combat destroyer that you can help in the B cap.
Bingo.
If you don't, the position I would personally go in an American cruiser is down the island at G3.
You can also put you can post up here too, and especially if you like spawned where the A-Gear did, that would be where I would go automatic. With you in the middle, you have to choose. But this is a very strong early position in a cruiser because then you can decide to move into A. You can also control with your radar, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot of cover there too, and you help with the radar on the cap.
Worst spot ever, says Puddin'. Hey, Puddin'. Puddin', do me a favor and shout out like a Shelly. Up here to the north is like, if I spawn up to the north, I'd probably head that direction, and I would play around these islands. The what you said, the Delta 6. This island here is very risky to go to early on as well. Very risky to go to early on. Now, you said you were going to the island to fire off your radar. That's cool. Look at all of the shots that have been coming in on you so far, just because you got spotted, because, oh wait, you don't have Concealment Expert. Concealment Expert saves you a bit of shots there.
You also have nobody to actually capitalize on your radar. Your destroyer there in the middle is a La Pampa. He's not going to open up his guns to shoot the enemy destroyer there. So, yeah, you spotted the destroyer. You've driven him off the cap, I guess, which is nice.
Yeah.
But you didn't really gain much from that.
No, and you can see the radar range here. I mean, you didn't cover that much by the time you popped it. If you really want to get that radar, then you dive this island and then pop the radar as soon as you get to it. You don't turn out like you did earlier. Broadside Des Moines, AP would have been the better choice by far. Yeah, you got spotted way sooner than you thought. Yeah, that's because you don't have Concealment Expert. If you had Concealment Expert...
You basically, even if you have Concealment Expert, if you try to dive this island, you can expect to get spotted on this map. There is almost no chance you get there unspotted.
The only way is the enemy destroyer doesn't go to B. That's it. And now...
Pretty much, yeah.
And now your La Pampa is dead because there's a Seattle of all things right there.
I mean, that's on the La Pampa's fault because that Seattle was spotted a minute ago and the La Pampa decided to still dive in.
There? Yeah. Yep. Cthulhu, that's a good point. On my channel, if you search for Vartasian, you'll find a really good New Orleans replay back when it was tier 8, yes. Okay, now, Oland needs to be HE, not AP. So you shot HE against the Des Moines, and now you're shooting AP against the Oland. You, sir, are using what I like to call skill shells, because you're using the wrong ones. Just scream, hold my beer, and pray the best. There you go. Yeah, the acceleration mod would be helpful. Now, are you going to radar immediately? You waited a long time to radar. You need to decide immediately, do I want to radar this guy or not? The longer you wait, the farther away he is. You can see your shell arcs are rather floaty. You should still, by the way, be shooting HE here. Yeah, play it as if they have no radar. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, Dutch, yeah.
Crossing this gap here is probably very risky. I mean, most of the enemy team is spotted, but I personally wouldn't feel confident with crossing this right now.
Yeah. Now, had you been shooting HE at that Oland, he probably would have been dead long ago, but because you were shooting AP at him, it didn't work. Seattle. That's True Founder. Right, lost a lot of hit points and not much to show. Once again, now you're shooting HE at a target. Well, he's turning out now, so that's fine. You're... No? Okay, you're actually going to turn. I don't mind the idea of you hanging out with the Wujing here, because you two can mutually support each other. The big thing is that channel will probably be torqued by, at the very least, the Oland. Feels bad to see the... feels really bad to see the gearing torping the A gear, but oh well. A gear's got Hydro, so you would expect the A gear to handle that. Oh, look, torpedoes in the channel! Totally did not expect that.
Yeah, I don't know what the Wujing's doing here. Like, the whole enemy team is down there and he charges through the channel into...
He's giving up. He's already decided the game's over.
Which is stupid because you're winning like this. At least
well, he's frustrated. He's frustrated, right? There's nothing over here that can deal with the gearing. Psst, that's you. So, you know, he's upset. And he just goes and gets himself killed. Oh well. You'll note that the other battleships that were on this side are fleeing as well. So is the Otago. Hey, an LM. And that's why I was saying your job is anti-destroyer work. You couldn't kill the Oland. Okay. You know there's a gearing there. But because of where you are, nobody feels confident enough in staying on that side. Battleships are timid players. Another good point, but they do not need the ACAP. At this point, you're pinched. At this point, the radar has ended. Hydro is on, which means the Des Moines or... the Prince Ruprecht has you on Hydro. I would Hydro back right now. Pop your Hydro, see what's coming around this corner. Because the way you're turning, you are now opening up your side to being smashed by that Ruprecht.
I don't think you're actually pinched here because, like, you could still run forward and get away from everything behind you.
That is absolutely 100% the escape route.
Can punish you.
It is 100%. Yep. So that was what I was going to mention too. You can just do this. You're safe. But no, you're going to instead stay here, be spotted so that the Ruprecht and everybody else can think about how they're going to kill you.
Yeah, the moment you pop out there, there's probably gonna flying 20 shells in there.
You can't peel out because you waited too long. Ironically enough, the only way to peel out is through this channel, but the Des Moines is right here. So, feels bad, brother. This is my rock. I will live and die at this rock. You're hoping to get a AP salvo on what? Seattle? And well, the point that we're trying to make, Kano, is actually it's not that bad of a match. Your decisions have made it a bad match. But it's not that bad of a match. Like, if you were pointed the other direction, it'd be great for you, actually. Rupert comes around, you slap him with AP, you'll probably die, but you'll probably take a lot of him with you, if not all of him. If Viraga comes around, do the same thing. They're both showing broadside.
See, now you're pinched. Because the ships actually pushed through the A cap. 2 minutes ago, you were not.
You're hoping for ram on Des Moines? That ain't happening at all. Seattle can just look at you at this point. So, aim, yeah. To me, aim is a thing, sure. But there's so much more to take away from this. Oh my god, he's actually going to oblige you? Don't even zoom in. Don't even zoom in there. Oh, 2 of you died. We can get a double death pick? Oh, cool. The Otago followed you to doom. Look at that. Synchronized dying. Oh, and fireworks. The Des Moines gets a Confederate off of that. This is an awesome death pick. For all the wrong reasons. Look at that. Stupid island. Get out of my way. Look at that. Alright, let's get a little bit closer. I want to get the fireworks in frame, but I also want to get you in frame. And your Brazilian friend who died too in the Otago. Yeah, that works. I hate that it's backlit though. I wonder what it looks like on the other side. Wait, one? Alright, just look how cool this looks with... Ah. I have an idea. It's not going to look that good. But look how cool this looks with you side by side with the Japanese cruiser both blowing up. That looks kind of cool. I might take the screenshot anyway, just like this, and forget about the... You know what? I think I'm going to do that. This is almost like the This Is How Legends Are Made video, right?
This is a legend.
That's right. If I wanted to get this fireworks in, the island over here is just in the way, unless I go like this, which I could do too, but I think that's less dramatic. What do you guys think? Which do you like better, huh?
Can you maybe get it from like 90 degrees to the right? So you're slightly behind the Des Moines?
Yeah, I can do that too.
In the front left?
Yeah, I could do that too. Something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me get a little bit closer so that they're more centered. Look, there's even an AP bounce going up from the deck of the dead Otago there. That's kind of fun. Wow. See, this is one thing I love doing when I get replays and people die is I just love taking death picks. It's just fun. Looking at these models, looking at the explosions, looking at the fireworks and everything else. It's just fun, you know? Anyway, let's continue with the match. Look at the hawk.
No,
You never noticed the fireworks?
The firework is a perk from the unique of the legendary commanders when they activate one of their talents. But the player can disable that effect too. And some players do it because they don't want to give away that they have this commander on the ship.
Yeah, for the Des Moines, that's Halsey, and that's when the player gets a Confederate achievement. Now, you can also change the tracer color, which a lot of players, if they really don't want people to know it's Halsey, you can turn the pennant off and you can turn the tracer color off.
Was it actually Confederate? Was the Des Moines got both kills, right? It was.
Oh, it could have been a double strike. Yeah, you're right. It's a double strike. Apologies. That's a double strike. Which helps with his concealment. And that's it, isn't it? Right?
Is it speed too? I think
I
it was
couldn't
two
remember.
things.
I couldn't remember if speed was included. I can look at it real quick here. Halsey. With double strike, 10% to detection. That's it. It's just a concealment.
Just detection? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't think I've ever gotten this on Halsey.
I
It's
maybe
very rare.
once. Yeah,
I mean, I've
it's
gotten
very.
double strikes, but never when I.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually a game that you guys were winning for a very long time, even though nothing was happening at A. But with your position where you were, and with everybody else on your side, they just all like fell apart, completely fell apart. Like, wow. Let's see,
Yeah,
Baltimore crap.
I think positioning is the correct title for this replay too, because it really comes down to this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you decided you wanted to die at this rock, instead of coming in and then backing up and then coming in and then backing up, what you could have done is you could have backed up like this and then pulled forward with your bow. Or well, not exactly like that, but you could have backed up and then curved in like that. And now you've got your bow at the enemy, and you've consigned yourself to die, but you're just going to keep smashing something. People don't know how to maintain position. That's very true.
So, yeah, speaking of not maintaining position, isn't that Shimmer that's now in the sea cap the Shimmer that spawned at A?
Probably is. We can look at that in the replay render. So, your decision to go hard here cost you a lot early, and then your decision to stay here from there cost you even more. Your shell choice, your ammo choice, caused problems with killing that Olin destroyer, which actually hastened the death of your Wu Jing. It's probably going to die anyway, but hitting those torps later definitely helped. Aim is something over time you'll get just from shooting, so just keep shooting things. And fine. But yeah, I gotta say, when it comes to a ship like the Baltimore here or the Des Moines, what you need to be doing is you really need to be thinking, all right, I need to be as stubborn as possible, right, in order to make it very costly for the enemy to attack. You had an opportunity to use Hydro to see who's coming earlier, so you could properly adjust accordingly, but you didn't. Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack from this replay, which is great, by the way. I mean, that's why we do this. So you did 8,000 damage. You came in, at least you weren't bottom. Wow, the Pampa did even worse. Ouch. And there's that Wu Jing that I just charged. I mean, it's a team game, and your team really, really, really just, wow. But you're part of that. So you got 1,000 on Seattle. You got good damage. You almost killed the Oland. But take a look. 9 AP shell hits. 9 AP. If those were HE shells, you probably would have killed him. Also, you let him go after you were shooting him because you didn't use your radar. So I felt like it was odd when you were choosing to use your radar as well. The third radar, absolutely, I would not have used that one when you did, because that one caught the gearing back in A, but it didn't catch anything else. And you weren't even spotted, I don't think, at that time. So, anyway, let's look at the render and see what we can glean from that, huh?
Yeah, look at the Shimmer. He was at A.
Mm-hmm. You gotta hit the sack real soon, Cypher? No worries. Founder, thanks for the hydration reminder.
Oh, that Wu Jing was even AFK at the start and then just pressed W going forward. It might have been a bot, to be honest.
That explains a lot, actually. Even if they're not bots, most people that are AFK, they just charge right in as soon as they show up. Like, literally, like, they just YOLO right to the middle and die. A lot of people do that when they're AFK. I don't know why.
I mean, look at that. He's not steering once.
Nope.
He's just going.
Honestly, I would nope, he turned. So he decided for self-preservation for a little bit. So the Shimakaze got beat up and he's crying, so he runs all the way to the other side of the battle. The other side of the map. That's probably what happened. But so right here, for example, right here, you've got nothing to do. So right here is your perfect opportunity to choose, especially once the radar goes down from the Des Moines. Go due north, get out, or turn your ship around and face what you know is coming, which is these battleships and possibly the gearing.
I think at this point you've got to go out. Like your Shime has left.
Yeah.
The Wujing is about to die. The
Yep.
Piranga has already made the decision to leave the flank.
Yep.
So
this is your only
cap
option.
Is lost. Fighting over this cap from this point on is a lost cause. You could have gotten out here.
Yep. Yep. Now, here's a pivotal moment too, right? Des Moines radar goes down. Right when the Des Moines radar goes down, you radar. Again, this is the radar I felt like was the least useful. Although, frankly, only the second radar had some use to it.
Like, there is absolutely nothing here that can shoot what you're radaring. Oh, Le Pampa smoked up here and left the smoke.
Yep, and shot with his guns.
And shot the Oland and then died. Yeah, great.
And that's why, I always say that it's a team game and you can't control your teammates, but what you can control is what you do. I mean, if you had flipped your ship, that Ruprecht would not have survived. And the Ipiranga, maybe you could have taken him out. Who knows? But definitely the Ruprecht wouldn't have survived. You probably would have died too, but I think you would have come away with a bigger sense of accomplishment. Let's put it that way.
It's really a big if, though, but I really wonder what would have happened if you dived the G3 island right at the start.
Yeah.
Post up there. You could have potentially raided that gearing a lot, maybe kept the shimmer around because of it, and that whole game goes different.
I love this, by the way. I mean, we rarely get games that, as you said, were crap, that we could look at and talk about so many different things. So, if there's any other questions on this one, Kano, please feel free to ask. But I'm feeling pretty good about saying let's go on to the next one. There were so many options, there's so many possible titles for this one. So many titles for this one. Luco88, thank you for the follow. I mean, position is really the big one. And everything else kind of stems from that, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. So let's drop this then. And Kano, thank you again for subbing and for joining us over on YouTube and sharing the replays. This is very helpful, not just for you, but I think this is actually very helpful for a lot of other people.